today. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome. I have so many great memories from my 2 years at Seward County Community College. Great friends who became like family, and endless nights at the dorms, be it studying or trying to entertain ourselves. It seems we've always had great baseball teams and successful athletic programs. That's a testament to the coaching staff and to the type of student athletes that we have. Some of you in the stands may remember our very own Magnificent Seven, aka our Lady Saints basketball team from 2006-2007. We had so many injuries, we were down to only 7 players going to the NJCAA National Tournament, and we still took third place. Of course, it helps out players like Tashel Rushing, Shante Walker, and Tegan Cunningham. Tegan, I just heard, was inducted into the Saints Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2015, which is pretty awesome. But let's get back to today. I remember a lot of things about graduation day. Of all the things I do remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was or what he or she said. Acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this memorable, I will at least try to keep it short. We'll see. Did your parents, or probably your mom, tell you to make your bed in the morning? Did you think it was just to make you do another chore? For my fellow Hispanics out there, it was probably followed by, no seas cochino. In other words, don't be a pig or a slob. As it turns out, there may be more to it than that. Making your bed in the morning may actually lead to having a productive day. Think about it, it's the first task of the day, and you've already checked it off. What does it take? 1, 2 minutes max? It will give you a small sense of pride and encourage you to do another task, which leads to accomplishing more and more tasks. In basic SEAL training, making the bed is one of the first tasks of the day. As many SEALs will tell you, this is something that has to be done to perfection. It reinforces the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable, miserable day, you get to come home to a made bed. If you want to be successful, do the little things right. Make your bed. In my current role as a project manager, attention to detail is very important. If I miss a detail, it will affect how the whole building goes together. This can impact the schedule, the overall function, and ultimately, the budget. Pay attention to the little things because they make the biggest difference. When I interviewed for my job at Target, the Vice President of Construction asked if I was opposed to flying. He asked it specifically because I chose to drive 8 hours north to Minneapolis instead of flying. I was the only interviewee who chose to drive. So I probably said, I've only flown once in my life, but I'm not opposed to it, just not comfortable with it yet. This led to 2 things. 1, if I was hired, I would need to follow through with not being opposed to flying. I've learned that following through with what you say is a strong and powerful trait. Don't commit to something if you don't plan to follow through with it. And 2, I would inevitably fly, and fly often. That response and follow-through opened up great opportunities. During my orientation, I was informed that I would be part of a 4-leg jet trip during just my 2nd week of work. This was for 2 reasons. 1, it was to show me the ropes. 5 different leaders from Target's construction team would lead me through Target stores that were under construction in different phases, be they under remodel or brand new buildings. These visits were made to ensure our contractors were executing work per our plans and specifications, troubleshoot any problems, and make sure we had a happy store team. The 2nd reason was just to make sure that I could handle flying. I think I passed. During my first year at Target, I flew somewhere every 2 weeks. And then I forgot where I was at. I lived in Northern California, just 45 minutes east of San Francisco, where I met remarkable people, made amazing friends, and explored up and down the West Coast. I learned and grew as a person. I realized I truly enjoyed being on my own and being independent as well. My travel experience continued when I moved back to headquarters in Minneapolis. I've had the pleasure to travel to the 4 corners of the U.S., from Miami to Anchorage, and Los Angeles to New York, and many other Target locations throughout the nation. Travel for work can be long and exhausting, but it's also very rewarding. My advice to you is to travel, and travel often, hopefully not always for work. As Dr. Seuss stated, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the one who decide where to go. There are so many interesting places to see and visit. Do not let a little fear of flying keep you from exploring. I've learned many things during my time at Target. One of them is that life is not fair. I've made it through 4 rounds of layoffs at Target Corporation. Our most significant layoff was associated with our decision to close our operations in Canada. At the end of the day, this was a business decision in order for us to get back to US stores and really focus on our core. Many of those brilliant people working on Canada were laid off based solely on that fact. A few months later, we experienced more cuts. Our teams had grown too big and had too many layers of approval for us to make nimble decisions. We lost more team members. These were peers, our friends, and colleagues. I had good review scores, so I did not think that I would lose my job. But in reality, that very well could have been me. You see, my peers did not lose their jobs because they were underperforming. It was just business. Being still employed at Target, it was hard to understand how these decisions were made, why I was still there, and why someone else wasn't. The hardest part to understand why was someone who was considered to be a high performer was let go, when someone who was clearly underperforming was still employed. But we cannot dwell on that. We cannot control that. Life is not fair. At times, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you will still fail. That's just how life is sometimes. Get over it and push forward. Every day we are challenged. History will tell you that the most successful people are those who struggled and failed, time and time again. Do not be afraid to fail. Remember that even failure can lead to success if we learn from it. Someone once asked me, what is the most important thing you do each day? I thought about it for a minute, but the answer was rather obvious: communicate. As a project manager, my job is to understand all aspects of the project in terms of the scope of work, the schedule, and budget. In order to do so, I need to communicate effectively. Written communication is powerful. Now, it may not have been the most glamorous class to take, but it is something you will need to use often. In today's day and age, almost everything starts with an email. You'll be judged on your grammar, your sentence structure, content, and let's face it, everything. Knowing your audience will help guide you in using appropriate language, conveying the information simply and clearly, while anticipating and eliminating likely causes of confusion and misunderstanding. It is imperative that we understand our audience, clearly ask questions, and do so concisely. For example, you would not send your professor to save communication, you would send your hairdresser or one of your buddies. My communication is mainly with peers and the teams of people that I work with. One of the greatest realizations I've come across is that I do not need to be the smartest person in the room. We wouldn't get very far if I was. There is so much that goes into creating documents and correctly putting plans together to construct a building. However, I don't need to know all the details because I have technical teams that do. I rely on my engineer, my architect, and my subject matter experts to look into those hard questions and details. I don't have a structural engineering degree, so I need that engineer to run calculations and ensure we're building something that is structurally sound. We rely on each other and we trust each other. It is important that you find your team. Not only is it important to have a strong team to work with, but it is even more so in life. Family and friends are those incredible teammates. Don't forget to share your experiences and life with them. When times are tough, you always know who has your back. I've also learned that it is important to keep an open mind. Diversity of experience, age, race, gender, opinions. All of these lead to diversity of thought. Ultimately, they foster innovation, improve decision-making, and develop better leaders. We all have something to bring to the table. Remember where you came from, because that alone makes you unique. Do you know Mandarin or another Chinese dialect? Spanish, German, whatever it is, embrace it. The world is becoming more and more diverse, and it's a beautiful thing. You are part of that diversity, and I'm excited to see where you will lead us. Now think back. What is the single biggest risk you've taken? Per the dictionary, to take a risk means to expose oneself to a chance of injury or loss, put oneself in danger, hazard, or venture. I can't think of a bigger risk than leaving everything you've known all your life. Your family, friends, your home, your comfort zone. My parents were risk takers, and I can never thank them enough for that. They looked at everything they had going for them, and everything they had going against them. Ultimately, they wanted a better life for themselves and us, their children. My father came to the United States back in the early 90s. A year later, my mom made the courageous decision to lead us all to the US. She had no idea what to expect, how to get there. Google Maps was not an option, or what we would do when we got there. Not to mention my brothers and I were only 8, 6, and 5 respectively. I'm sure we created more trouble than any help we could have provided. But that one brave decision changed our lives. We no longer lived in what is considered third world conditions. We were able to get an education higher than 6th grade. We are college graduates. We have made amazing friends, and my brothers have even started their own families. I would be remiss if I didn't say that there were sacrifices. We felt lost in our new world. English is hard, or so we thought it was. We didn't see many of our family members for years. That's hard for Hispanics. We love being around our families. Our parents worked, they worked hard. They often couldn't make the sporting events or extracurricular activities because they had to work, but they led by example. They taught us that hard work and dedication to whatever we had a passion for would lead to success in life. I have it easy. We have it easy. We don't have to take a huge risk like my parents. We live in a place where we can grow up to be whoever we want to be. That is the beauty of the American dream. Understand the struggles it will take to get where you want to be, but don't be afraid to take that risk. One of the biggest things I've learned about goals is to keep an open mind about how to get there. Zig Ziglar famously said, "When obstacles arise, you change your direction to reach your goal. You do not change your decision to get there." You are now moments from graduating, moments away from taking the next steps of your journey of life. You may be going into the workforce. You may be continuing your education, which I strongly recommend. Whatever it is, always do the little things right. Take risks, explore and travel. Set your goals high, but be open to different avenues to get there. Find someone to share your life with. Know that life is not easy. There will be challenges, so look them in the eye, overcome, and move forward. Live in the moment. I remember the speech I gave my fellow classmates when we graduated from Hooker High School. I used to think high school was the best time of my life. Some of you may or may not agree with this. Some of you loved it, some of you hated it, and that's fine. I was not wrong at the time because that's what I felt and believed. Too often we get caught up on everything else going around us, or what could happen in the future. Live in the now and enjoy those moments. Looking back, I know why I felt it was the best time of my life. I was living in that moment. That said, I can firmly say that it has only become that much better. Experience trumps everything. So go out and experience life to the fullest. Congratulations, class of 2015. God bless, and go Saints. That's it.